Hi class, this is Professor Harmony Kim. This video is for the lecture of Pastoral Counseling for Buddhist Ministry, Week 7, as of May 16. Today you will study Angulimara, who was a murderer but converted to be a bhikkhu through the conversation with the Buddha. It was in the 20th year that the Buddha became fully awakened and the Buddha converted the notorious murderer Angulimara. The original name of Angulimara was Ahimsaka. In other words, harmless, innocent. Ahimsaka's father was chaplain to the king of Kosala. Ahimsaka received his education at Taxila, and Taxila was the famous educational center in the olden days. And Ahimsaka became the most illustrious and favorite pupil of his renowned teacher. Unfortunately, his colleagues grew zealous on him, so his colleagues concocted a false story and succeeded in poisoning the teacher's mind against Ahimsaka. The enraged teacher, without any investigation, contrived to put an end to his life by ordering Ahimsaka to fetch 1,000 human right hand fingers as teacher's honorarium. In obedience to the teacher, though with great reluctance at the beginning, but Ahimsaka went to the Jalini forest in Kosala and started killing people to collect fingers for the necessary offering. So, the original name of Ahimsaka changed to Angulimara. Angulimara means finger reed or necklace of fingers. When Angulimara tried to kill the person, actually his mother, the Buddha appeared on the scene and spoke to Angulimara. This resulted in converting Angulimara to be a bhikkhu. This is overall brief introduction of Angulimara. The sources of this episode in the Pali Canon are Theragatha, in which a set of 26 verses ascribed to Angulimara. And another source is Angulimara Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. Who was Angulimara? Who exactly was this mass murderer? The name of his parents, Gaya as his father and Mantani as his mother, we can deduce from them he was a Brahmin. Angulimara was born a Brahmin, and his father was the chaplain to the king of Kosala. Angulimara was born at night, and at the time his birth, all the weapons in the city shine brightly. The king saw his own weapons flash and was frightened. Angulimara's father observed that he had been born under the constellation of thieves. He attended on the king in the morning to ask how he had slept, and the king told Angulimara's father of his misgivings. The chaplain said that he had had a son who was destined to be a brigand. The king asked him whether he would operate alone or lead a band. The chaplain said he would operate solo. And chaplain asked if the king wanted Angulimara killed. The king said a solo performer could be allowed to live. They called this baby Ahimsaka, which means harmless, because the king's weapons hurt no one when they flashed. Angulimala grew up to be as strong as a 7 elephant. He was sent to Taxila for his education. Angulimala was his teacher's best pupil, and the other students became jealous. The other students hatched a plot to set the teachers against Angulimala. They managed to persuade the teacher that Angulimala was treacherously deceiving him. In other words, the implication is that he was having an affair with the teacher's wife. The teacher wanted to kill Angulimala in revenge, but felt he could not do so directly, because the teacher thought it would ruin his business if he were known to have killed his own people. So the teacher asked Angulimala for the present, which by custom a pupil must give his teacher at the end of his training. As a gift, the teacher asked Angulimala to bring 1,000 fingers from people's right hands. At the beginning, Angulimala protested that he was born in a family who did no harm. But his teacher said that without the concluding gift, what he had learned would prove fruitless. Then Angulimala killed people in the middle of the jungle. Angulimala took none of their clothes, but just tried to keep counting of them. However, Angulimala lost count. The fingers collected were hung on a tree, but as they were destroyed by crows and vultures, and some fingers fell to the ground and getting rotten. So the tally was not being made up. Angulimala threaded the fingers on a string to make a necklace and wore it like a sacrificial thread. That's why he got the name Angulimala. So nobody could enter the forest. People stopped traveling. In his search for a victim, Angulimala murdered people in the village. Angulimala entered village by night, kicked down the door, and murdered people in their bed. So people left the village for towns, and the towns for the city, till everyone from 3 leagues around had abandoned their homes and encamped round the royal court in Savatthi. There, people complained to the king. So the king had an announcement made, proclaiming that he would soon catch the brigand and summoning his forces. At this point, Angulimala was 1 finger short of his 1,000. So when he realized that he needed only 1 more, he decided to kill the next person he saw. Angulimala's mother heard the proclamation and told her husband that it was their son. He should go and scold him and bring him home. Otherwise, the king would have him killed. But the father replied that he had no use for such a son. So let the king do as he pleased. Angulimala's mother went out herself to fetch him. The Buddha saw Angulimala with his divine eye. And the Buddha saw that if Angulimala met his mother, he would kill her for the 1,000th finger. So after the meal, the Buddha went the 30 leagues to that forest on foot. Just as the Buddha arrived at the forest, Angulimala spotted his mother at a distance and thought, "Today I will kill my mother and get the missing finger." Angulimala drew his sword and ran after her. The Buddha interposed himself between them. When Angulimala saw the Buddha, Angulimala thought, "Why kill my mother for that finger? Let her live. I will kill this renunciate and take his finger." So Angulimala drew his sword and followed the Buddha. Angulimala Sutta says that Angulimala chases the Buddha as fast as he can. But to his amazement, Angulimala cannot catch the Buddha, although the Buddha is walking normally. So Angulimala stops and calls on the Buddha to stop. The Buddha replies, "I have stopped. Angulimala, you stop too." Angulimala replies in a verse like this: "While going, you say renunciate. I have stopped. And me, who have stopped, you call not stopped. I ask you this, renunciate. How have you stopped, and I not stopped?" The Buddha replies, "I have stopped Angulimala by forever renouncing violence against all creatures. You are unrestrained towards living beings, so I have stopped and you have not stopped." Then Angulimala replies in a verse, "Long ago in the great forest, the wise man, the greatly honored, came to me, and I said to him, I would have given up wickedness long ago had your word of truth been bestowed upon me." Dhammapala interpreted the reply of Angulimala as follows. Angulimala had previously heard of the reputation of the Blessed One, which, fostered by his true qualities, had spread over the whole world like oil over water. For that reason, and because his knowledge had matured, because all necessary conditions were present, he was delighted to realize that this was the Blessed One. Angulimala thought, "This is a great lion roar, a great bellow. I think this can be that of no other renunciate. This is Gautama's roar." The great seer, the fully enlightened, had indeed seen me. The Blessed One has arrived here to do me favor. He who had laid, not how, there's a typo, so fix how to who. He who had laid to rest all evil, the Blessed One has come to this great forest. Angulimala thought, that person, namely I, on hearing that, will abandon 1,000 sins, even after a long time, though associated with practiced for a long time. Angulimala said, Now most certainly I shall give it up, to show how he behaved and how he was favored by the Blessed One. Angulimala is describing himself as a long-standing worshipper of the great Lord, such as Shiva. His practice of collecting fingers for a necklace is sure to be the result of a vow in which the worshipper tried to attain the iconic form of his god. Angulimala here to address the Buddha as speaker of truth. The truth he has just uttered that has converted Angulimala and led to the resolution. After the Buddha has said that he has stopped, Angulimala says to himself, "These renunciates of the shakan are truthful." Angulimala states, "For a long time to fulfill a vow, I have been honoring Shiva. You have arrived in the forest speaking truth. So I shall give up my 1,000 crimes, for I have heard your verse, which teaches what is right." So Angulimala's good karma rushed up to the surface. Angulimala collected his fingers from living victims, not corpses. This is not implausible. In Buddha Ghosha's Visuddhimagga, bandits come upon some monks in a forest and say that they need to kill one of the monks to use the blood from his throat as an offering. The text does not specify the deity. This is not a story but an illustration of an ethical dilemma and would lose its point if such a situation never occurred in real life. In fact, we know that it did occur in real life. When the Chinese pilgrim Xuanzang was going down the Ganges from Ayodhya, he and his party were captured by river pirate. The pirate decided to sacrifice the Chinese monk to Durga, and he was only saved by a providential storm, which so scared the pirate that they converted to Buddhism. A Buddhist monk virtually recapitulated the Buddha's experience with Angulimala. What happened to Angulimala once he converted to a Bhikkhu? As requested by Angulimala, he was admitted into the noble order by the Buddha. News spread that Angulimala had become a Bhikkhu. The king of Kosala, in particular, was greatly relieved to hear of his conversion because Angulimala was a veritable source of danger to his people. But Venerable Angulimala had no peace of mind because even in his solitary meditation, he used to recall memories of his past and the pathetic cries of his unfortunate victims. As a result of his evil karma, while seeking alms in the street, Venerable Angulimala would become a target for stray stones and sticks, and he would return to the monastery with a broken head and flowing blood, cut and crush it, to be reminded by the Buddha that Venerable Angulimala was merely reaping the effect of his own karma. One day, as Venerable Angulimala went on his round for alms, Venerable Angulimala encounters a woman who is undergoing a difficult labor. Moved by compassion, Venerable Angulimala reported this pathetic woman's suffering to the Buddha. The Buddha then advised Venerable Angulimala to pronounce the following words of truth, which later came to be known as Angulimara Parita. Here is the Angulimara Parita. Parita means protective discourse, and Angulimara Parita states that, Sister, since my birth in the Arya clan, that is, since his ordination, I know not that I consciously destroyed the life of any living being. By this truth, may you be whole, and may your child be whole. Venerable Angulimala studied this parita, and going to the presence of the suffering sister, sat on a seat separated from her by a screen, and uttered these words. Instantly, she was delivered of the child with ease. So, Angulimara Parita says that Venerable Angulimala has never consciously deprived a living creature of life since Venerable Angulimala was born in his noble birth, that is, joined the Buddhist order. This statement, known as the Angulimara Parita, and this Angulimara Parita is still used in Buddhist Sri Lanka to help women in labor. The episode derives its point from the contrast between the now guaranteed harmlessness of the Buddhist monk and his former career as a mass murderer. The Buddha converts Angulimala by one of the commonest of his skillful means, such as playing upon words. In this case, the Buddha puns not on a technical term, but on a very common verb, titati, which means stop or stay. Angulimala, in the opening verse of the exchange, gives this its physical meaning. But the Buddha, in his reply, ethicizes the term and thus reserve an apparent paradox. This so impresses Angulimala that he declares himself converted. As a minister or pastor, we do not have a supernormal power of making Angulimala stop in a way that the Buddha has done to Angulimala. However, we can tell and use this story as an anecdote that anyone who committed wrongdoing in the past can transform himself into good person by being aware of his behavior and committing right things later. Of course, it could be a better idea of not doing wrong things originally, but most humans are not always wise enough not to play misconducts. Quiz 1. What is the literal meaning of Angulimala? What did Angulimala hang around the neck and decorate around the neck? So you can find the answer from the lecture. Question 2. What is the technical term that the Buddha used to convert Angulimala? What is so impressive word which make Angulimala convert to be a bhikkhu? So you can find the answer from the lecture. As you've done every week, please send email to me including your official name and 2 quiz answers. The due date of this assignment is May 22nd, Sunday midnight. This is the end of the lecture.